And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we are talking about the first round pick for the Washington Commanders, Josh Conerly Jr. We're going to be talking about why this was a terrific selection for the Washington Commanders. And so before we go ahead and jump into it, I first wanted to remind you to hit that subscribe button, just like Jaden Daniels is going to be hitting many receivers for multiple touchdowns this upcoming season. And so in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. So make sure that you hit that subscribe, you hit that like button, and you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the content for today. And so we are talking about Josh Conerly Jr., offensive tackle who was selected 29th overall yesterday in the first round. And so, look, this is a terrific pickup for the Washington Commanders because when we talk about maximizing Jaden Daniels and the window that you have with him, this definitely signifies that you are trying to do that because you are getting a piece that is there to protect Jaden Daniels. And also, too, it is a piece that is just absolutely needed in order to push a defensive line back and open up some running lanes for not only Jaden Daniels, but also to the running game as well. Talked about this before that I really feel like the Washington Commanders have a great identity at running the football and maybe being that type of team that not only can just put up points at will, but they can also take the air out of the ball and push defenses down and kind of wear them down that way. This is that type of pick right here with Josh Conerly Jr. And so I got to give Todd McShay a lot of credit. I did see his YouTube short there where he was talking about how he really felt that he was going to be a special player. He felt like he was a top 3 offensive tackle in this year's draft. And, well, I guess a lot of people are saying the same thing. And so, number one, they say that he's a great athlete. I think that that's something that they talk about with the way that he tested, I guess, at the combine. A lot of people were talking about the fact that he was the fastest out of the 40, I guess the first 10 yards. That was spectacular. And that reminds me of what Dan Quinn had talked about, that, look, it's all about how fast can you get to your thing. And so this is a player that great athlete, great bend, very fast. And so you definitely need that. Once the ball is snapped, you're going to have to get up on top of your assignment there. And the next thing, one of the things that they talk about just when he got drafted was his ability to get to the second level. And that is huge because the initial contact that you have to make with a defender to get him out of the way and then to be able to get up to the next level, that is huge as far as the running game. And especially, when you get like maybe a wide receiver screen or anything like that, that has to do with a second level type of blocking. Like, I think that is definitely a huge trait that the Washington Commanders definitely want. And they got here with Josh Conerly Jr. And it's just great to hear, some of the things that just really led to the fact of the Washington Commanders going out and getting him, because Adam Peters in his presser talking about that he performed well against Abdul Carter. And so remember, Abdul Carter, I think he went to the Giants number 3 overall. And this is a big pickup because if you think about it, if Abdul Carter becomes a really good pass rusher with the Giants, you're going to see him twice a year. You have a young man in Josh Conerly Jr. who, you're hoping that he's going to be a starter sooner than later, but you have somebody that is going to be able to really go against that. So I just like the fact that not only do the Washington Commanders make a move, just for the right now, but man, it just looks like that they almost made a move where they're thinking almost 5 steps ahead. So you love that look, if he does become an elite pass rusher, here's a guy that he played well against him in college. They talked about how he played well in against other elite competition as well. I think that Adam Peters had mentioned just his time against the Ohio State Buckeyes and how good that looked. And so you love that, his ability to compete at a high level, which leads to the next point. Will he come in and be a starter? That's going to be, questionable if he does come in and he's a starter from day one. I think that what they were talking about is just the level of competition that is going to be out there for the Washington Commanders across all positions, and you love that. I think that the only thing that is a sure bet is that you're going to see Laramie Tunsil. He's going to be out there in his position, but everybody else, I think, is pretty much going to be battling it out. So I think that that's going to be interesting, what happens with Josh Conerly Jr. And again, man, I just think that you have a foundational piece with him, somebody that I feel like will grow with Jaden Daniels for the next, hopefully 7 to 10 years, or whatever that window looks like, and just somebody that gives you an anchor on that offensive line. I like the fact that, you can probably change him a little bit. You'll see what he can do either at the tackle, right guard position, or whatever guard position that they need him to play. So I think that you can see that type of versatility. And I think just some added bonuses, man, is just that they were talking about, I guess, the Senior Bowl. He was voted the top offensive lineman at the Senior Bowl. And I got a chance to listen to his presser, and he was like, it's an honor considering that was not even, he felt like not his best week. And I'm just thinking, man, like if that's not his best week and he got voted as a top offensive lineman, man, what does it look like with his best week? And so super excited to hear that. And I like too, another thing that he says in his press conference is that he's here to win. And that's something that we definitely love to hear as Washington Commanders fans. And I think an added bonus with that is that at Oregon, he didn't lose too many games. All right. And so this is something where it's a stat that doesn't show up in the box score. When you are getting players that have been very successful, they've come out of programs before where they've, gone deep into the postseason, played for some major championships and things like that. I think that type of mentality does really translate to the pros. I think that when you're trying to rebuild a roster or you're trying to take it to the next level, I think that is really one of the biggest things that you can do in any sport. I don't care if it's baseball, basketball, football, whatever it is, hockey. If they've won at a high level in college, I think that does translate. And so this was another reason why I think that this is a terrific pickup, for the Washington Commanders, is because you are getting a guy that is coming from a winning foundation and coming right into really a rebuilt winning foundation with the Washington Commanders. And lastly, another thing that I love too, and this goes into what Adam Peters was talking about in his presser, is that they loved him not only as a player, but just as a person. And he was saying that really he fits everything that you would want as a Washington Commander. And so that is huge, really, that the Washington Commanders went out. They got a player that they absolutely really believe in here. They talked about how they did the 30 interview as well. And so everything lines up here. And so super excited to see what this is going to look like. I'm super excited to see if he can get into the starting lineup from day one. He looks like he's going to be a guy that is going to just work his tail off. And I think that, look, Jaden Daniels has got to be super excited that the Washington Commanders went out there and they may have gotten, I mean, he's in the top three. Maybe he's the best, as far as the offensive tackle is concerned coming out of this draft. I think that maybe we could start to maybe look at this maybe some years down the line and say that this was a steal at pick 29. And so we'll see what happens. Make sure that you go ahead, you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. We are going to be going live for round two, right around when the Washington Commanders are going to pick. We'll probably ramp it up to that pick, talking about just the picks that have been made so far in round two. And so anyway, make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe. And as we always say around here, go Commanders. And I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.